Hello and welcome to Murderous Midwest. I'm Abby,
And this is Eleanor.
and today we are talking about Edward Theodore Gein.
Okay.
Now, I have a lot of information on him for you guys, and I'm so excited.
Buckle in for me to be, because I got to hear little snippets of information, and I am horrified.
Yes,
So,
there's
yeah.
an extreme gore warning on this episode. Very graphic content. There's lots of things that happen with him.
Uncomfortable thinking about, the little pieces of information that I know.
Yeah, no, it gets worse. From what you've heard, it gets worse, I promise.
Oh, thank you. That's so reassuring, Abby.
I know. Okay, so we're just going to start from the very beginning. So he was born August 27th, 1906.
Mm-hmm.
And this was, 16 years before my great-grandma was born?
I'm testing Abby, y'all. I gotta keep the mood light in here for myself, so I have a hair mustache at the moment.
Yes, it's wonderful. His mother was Augusta Wilhelmine. Oh my gosh. Bear with me, y'all. This name is ridiculous. Wilhelmine Gein. And his father was George Philip Gein. He had an older brother named Henry George Gein, and he lived in La Crosse County, Wisconsin, growing up. He was a little boy when he lived there, and then his family moved to Plaintiff later. But we're just going to get into his mother and father, because both of these people were a piece of work.
Oh, there's so much information on this guy. I'm so mildly terrified.
Well, he is a really known case in some areas, and some he's not. So we know a lot about him. He was him and his family were really well known in their towns, the towns that they lived in. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of information.
For positive or negative?
Most of it was positive, which just adds to a creepy factor. But so his father, major alcoholic, couldn't hold a job. He worked as a carpenter, a tanner, an insurance salesman, along with a bunch of other things.
Okay.
So he could not hold a job for the life of him. And then his mother was a devout Catholic, extreme Catholic, almost insane.
Oh gosh.
And she hated her husband. Wanted him dead, hated her husband.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So this lady's insane.
But she's a devout Catholic, so she can't get a divorce.
Exactly. And she can't murder anybody because...
Devout
Catholic. So...
And just maybe a mildly sane human being.
That too, yeah. Although, the rest of his family wasn't. His brother, Henry, was probably the only sane one out of the bunch.
That we know of.
That we know of, but there wasn't much time for him, so... Ed and... yeah, that face. Ed and Henry, his brother, were preached against sex, sins, drinking, and women, except their mother. Mm-hmm. So they've had this, pounded into their mind that women are just revolting, disgusting creatures.
Oh, that's a weird approach.
Yeah. By their mother, who is a woman.
Rude.
Right? It feels very wrong. Just all of it.
Well, it is a murder.
Yes, but...
I really like doing this to Abby, where she's, telling me about something that's, awful, and I'm like, well, it was where it's, mildly awful, and she's like, that's really messed up. I'm like, well, it is a murder. It is a psychopath.
Yeah, so what can you expect, honestly?
Exactly.
So, Ed was actually really shy, and he had some, really weird behavior in school, where one of his teachers described it as he would just start, breaking out laughing in class over nothing, or over, quote, something going on in his unfathomable mind. Despite this, he did really well in school. He was a really smart kid.
I'm freaked out. That moment of silence was just me, processing. Because we all, think of a funny joke and start to chuckle.
Yeah, but it was, hysterical laughter.
Oh. In, the middle of class?
Yeah, nobody would talk to him. He'd be dead silent. He would just break into hysterical laughter.
Abby just pushed a chip away from my mouth. I'm so sad. Commits a murder on the bathroom.
Whoa. Yeah. Nobody would hear it because you don't know how to upload these.
Rude. I can figure it out. I can't figure it out.
No,
I don't want to.
There's a reason that I'm the one editing these things, y'all.
Hey, shh.
All right. moving right along.
Sorry.
We're gonna talk about George, his dad, again. So George died at the age of 66 from cardiac arrest, like right after the family moved to, I called it Plaintiff earlier, it's Plainfield. And Henry, his brother, had to, well, both of them, Henry and Ed, had to work to like support the family. And so
they're like very, very much financially not okay.
No, like not at all. Well, I mean, their dad had just died.
Right. Okay.
So they have to work to provide money for their family. And they kind of just worked odd jobs around the town. But their main, like, title was handyman. So they just did a bunch of odd jobs to earn money. And everybody was, like, they really liked them a lot. They saw them as really respectful, really dependable, and thought they were really great people. And so after his dad died, Ed kind of, like, fell into his mother's grasp, is what they call it. And he loved it. He loved letting his mom take control of everything he did. And, like, loved just being around his mom 24/7.
Okay,
Like, mama's boy, but, like, times 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Red flag, but not, like, a huge red flag.
No, I mean...
Just wouldn't put with all the other ones. It's kind of like...
Yeah, it's, like... It's one of the puzzle pieces in the 500-piece puzzle. You know what I mean? So... Ed, like, started working as a babysitter, and he actually really enjoyed that. But this is, like, really creepy to me now because, like, I know what he did. But, you know, you have to think, to this town, he was just a regular guy who enjoyed, like, spending time with kids and, like, taking care of kids. And...
I'm currently very freaked out. Continue.
Is it...
It's the fact that I know what he's doing in the fact, and like don't be my children.
Yes. To us, it's weird, but like to them, it wasn't because he was a trusted member of their community. So it was normal to them. But yeah, so they were both really liked. Henry ended up in a relationship with a divorced woman. I don't know her name. Couldn't find it anywhere. And he started talking about his mom, like really negatively to Ed. In hopes to, like, get Ed away from his mom because he was really concerned about the relationship that they had.
Yeah.
Because it was getting, like, borderline romantic.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah. No, it was icky. And so instead of his plan working and Ed straying away from his mom, it backfired in Henry's face majorly. While clearing marsh one day, they would, like, light it on fire and just kind of control the fire and let it burn. The fire grew out of control, and Henry's body was found later that evening.
Whoa.
The weird thing is, the body was unburned. There were bruises on the head, and it was believed that he died from asphyxiation, which is suffocation, for those of you who don't know. And even with all of this evidence... And Ed was the last one with him. All of this evidence, it was deemed an accident. They were like, oh, it's an accident. Yeah, and Ed was not, like, even questioned about it. There was no suspicion that he did it whatsoever.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah. And so, although it was never really confirmed, a lot of people think it was Ed. Most people,
of course,
obviously think it was Ed. So... Now the only ones left in his home is Ed and his mom.
Ew.
See where I'm going with this?
Ew. I just remembered the fact that you told me about it.
Oh,
Ew! Continue!
Eleanor is having, like, war flashbacks over here.
Yes! Continue so they also get that move on. Regular warning.
Yeah. So Augusta, his mom, suffered from a stroke, and she was never, you know, a lot of times if a stroke is major enough, you can become paralyzed, your speech is all messed up, you're never, not really the same, but you can survive one. So she survived, and she had these, like, side effects, and so Ed spent the rest of his life, or the rest of her life, taking care of her. She died at the age of 67, and Ed was devastated. He was absolutely just, like, shipwrecked by his mom's death. And he had lost his only friend and, quote, one true love.
Oh, gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that...
No, I don't believe there was any sexual relations, but it could have gotten there.
Ew.
Or he would have attempted it. I wouldn't say the mom would, because devout, insane Catholic.
Yeah,
but,
right. Yeah.
I do believe that if it had gone any further, he might have tried.
Ew.
Yeah. He was right. Well, I mean, when you grow up and the only woman you're allowed to be around is your mom, like,
Nope, there is no way to explain this one away. This one's just...
Oh, no, it's gross nonetheless. But I mean, you can see why it happened.
Yes.
So...
And no. But yes.
Yeah. So, after his mom died, he just became absolutely obsessed with reuniting with her.
Reuniting?
Like, reunite, that's what he called it. He wanted to reunite with her, but he did it in the most gruesome ways possible.
Okay, continue.
So, after time passed, a couple months after his mom passed, he came up with this brilliant idea. And this is the reason that Eleanor freaked out. He decided he was going to make a skin suit from women who resembled his mother. And once it was...
I thought it was his mother.
Yeah, I thought so too. It turns out it wasn't. It was just women that resembled her. And once it was finished, he could crawl into it and, quote, become his mother.
Ah!
Ah.
Like a full skin?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, continue. Sorry, nasty, gross. The crawl into it murdered me.
Yeah, no, I read that and it was... Nope, no thank you. So he started, after he, came up with this idea, he started tracking recently deceased women who had, similar features, like birthmarks and certain, skin things. I don't know. It was that looked like his mother, and he would, take little pieces off of that to put on his skin suit.
Ew.
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 So,
but also,
he would dig up their graves, and then, trigger warning, he would skin them, and use the skin to upholster items, which basically, he would make a bunch of stuff from their skin. Not just the skin suit. It stemmed into a lot of other things. So he continued to do this for a while, and he ended up, it was estimated that he robbed 9 graves. And he admitted to robbing at least 9 graves. But really, he could have robbed more.
So much more.
He could have robbed a lot more. And with the list of items I'm going to read you here in a little bit, I'm shocked that it was only 9.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So we're just gonna continue because there is more. So he robbed these 9 graves, and eventually, of course, people started to get really suspicious. Words are hard. Suspicious because, well, people are missing from graveyards. That's a little weird. Dead people don't just get up and walk away. So, of course, people started to get suspicious, and this led to his murders. First one, 1954, a woman named Mary Hogan disappeared and wasn't found alive. Her whole body, actually, was never found. Pieces of her were, though.
Ew. Oh, gosh. That's terrible.
Yeah. I didn't get too much information on her. I got more information on Bernice Worden. So, November 16th, 1957, a woman named Bernice Worden went missing.
Did he kill any guys?
He didn't kill any women, or any men. It was all women.
Oh, no.
He only went after women, because he had...
The mother.
Was looking for pieces. He did not see them as humans. He saw them as...
Animals.
Pieces. Not even animals. It was pieces of a puzzle, essentially.
Ew.
It's sick. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. So she goes missing, and the last one to be with her was Ed in their family store, and her son knew this, and so he went to the police and he told them that he believed it was Ed. Go
the son?
Yeah, go son. Unnamed. I don't have his name, but it's fine. So police arrested Ed in the middle of a grocery store, went to his house to look for things, and wait until you guys hear what they found, because oh my lord.
I have to feel bad for these police officers.
Yeah,
They're
no
thinking
joke.
they're gonna have to do, deep dive, flip the house upside down type of deal.
And it was right in front of them.
Oh.
Like, so much so, they weren't even in the house before they found things.
Okay, continue.
So they get to the home, and the entire house, except for Augusta's room, the mom, was in just absolute shambles. Like, broken, it was decaying, it was rotting. It collapsed at one point, and he had, like, put her room back together.
Oh, gross.
And left the rest of it untouched. So all of this house is just an absolute wreck.
Oh, gosh, this is such a weird version of mommy issues.
And they found the decapitated body of Bernice strung from the roof. Yeah. There was, like, a rope tied around her torso, like underneath of her armpits and across her chest, and she was, like, hanging from the top of the roof.
I'm uncomfy.
And her entrails, her organs, were not in her body, all over the roof.
I don't know the proper way to respond to this information.
Yeah.
The silence I apologize for.
There's nothing to say. But like, there's not much to say about it. It's just...
Oh, gosh.
There's
what
just... It's...
so poor.
It's so awful. Like, just the fact that anybody could do that. And not only... There's more. So, they found a lot of things made out of not just skin, but other human body parts, too, in the house.
Oh, you have a list.
I do have a list.
Okay, continue with the list.
I'm going to start with the first thing, and maybe I'm weird for this, but it's my favorite thing, and I find it, maybe I'm sick for this, I find it very funny, because it's just a very interesting piece. He is very famous for it. It's the nipple belt.
You showed me a picture of that. That was incredibly uncomfortable, Abby.
I had never seen a picture of it before then. I just think, out of all things, why nipples?
Is that what you guys think are attractive boobs?
I don't know.
This is coming from a female standpoint. What is it that boobs make them attractive?
I don't know.
Is it the nipples? Have we been getting this wrong?
I don't know. But
this is probably not a school appropriate conversation to be having.
This is not a school appropriate podcast, so
okay,
here we are.
And we continue.
Continuing, he had the belt. Mm-hmm. He had a lampshade made from a human face.
Ew.
I'm sure the lampshade would work so well because you have like the holes and stuff.
Abby! Oh God! No!
I'm sorry. This is the only way I know how to like cope with this because there's just
icky. That gives me the icks. It gives me the icks. Continue.
Mary's quote face mask in a paper bag. He would wear it around his house.
You told me about that. That makes me physically uncomfy. I am uncomfy.
And fun fact, specifically his face masks, because he had multiple. His infamous face masks were what inspired Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre for you horror nerds like myself out there. There are other things that inspired, but we will get to those later.
Oh, great. I'm so excited.
Barry's skull in a box.
What is with his storing methods?
Oh, his storing methods get weirder as time goes on.
Why should I ever say something before I know the full story?
Bernice's head, not just her skull, not just the face, the whole head in a burlap sack. Her heart, quote, in a plastic bag in front of Gein's pot-bellied stove.
Like on the floor?
Like on the floor in a bag. Her heart, like her physical heart, was in a bag on the floor.
Again, I feel so sorry for these policemen.
I feel so sorry for these women. Like even though they were dead, like
their bodies were taken advantage of. That is just terrible.
9 vulvae, which for those of you who don't know, it's a part of the female genitalia in a box on the floor.
Oh my gosh, he like picked them apart.
Yeah. A tub of fingernails.
A tub?
A tub of fingernails.
Sorry.
A pair of lips on a drawstring. Like drawstring to a shade, like shades on the window. There was like, you know how it has that weird little bead on the end of it to like hide the. Instead of that, there were lips.
Ew. Ew.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
4 noses. Like just entire noses you just cut off the face. Words.
Words are hard. When you are.
This one actually made me really sad. A young girl's dress and the vulvae, as you guys had heard before, there were 9. There were more. Of 2 young females estimated 15 years old.
Oh no.
Yeah. So not only was he like disrupting grown women's graves, it was also children's graves. Nope. Leggings made from human skin. He would also, every single one of these items he would use and wear around his house. A corset made from a female torso, skin from shoulder to waist. Bowls made from human skulls.
So that one was like kind of cool sounding.
Right? Like
that one isn't as terrifying.
There were also skulls on his bedposts.
Ew. Oh, I don't want dead people.
Human skin covering several chair seats. Like seat of a chair. He would also use the skin to like replace holes in sofas and stuff.
Oh gosh.
A wastebasket made from human skin. And just a bunch of like bone fragments and whole bones.
Ew. I don't know. There's no better word than
it. And of course, he was immediately arrested.
Mm-hmm.
As you would think. And
I want you to tell me that he said that they weren't his.
No, he admitted to everything.
Ew.
A couple times, actually. I'm going to tell you what he told police. He told police a couple of different things. So he told police that between 1947 and 1952, he had made at least 40 different visits to the graveyard. But he was in a sort of trance, which was really just a schizophrenic episode. He woke up from this trance at least 30 times and left without anything. The other 9 to 10 times,
he left with a body.
Exactly.
And then did unimaginable things with a body.
So,
because no. Just no.
So they searched his property. They dug up everywhere. Mm-hmm. They tore it apart, and they found 9 different caskets, makeshift caskets that he had made himself. They were like just made out of wood, and they were buried 2 feet below sandy soil on the farm. Ew. I don't know how this guy
how did he get was he white?
Of course he was white. He didn't get away with any. Well, I guess you could say that he did.
For a while. I mean.
Oh, yeah.
I mean. He got away with a lot.
He did. But I don't understand how this guy could live.
Yeah, in a house like that.
Not only was he he had the bodies on his farm, but he had them everywhere.
Everywhere. They always were surrounding him.
They asked him if he had indulged in necrophilia, which is when you, for our viewers, is when you have sex with dead bodies. And he said no, because, quote, they smelled too bad. Comments?
Nope. Got nothing to say. There's so much I could say.
There's so much, yet nothing.
Yeah. That was a thought in my mind, though. I'm like, this had to smell terrible. Did they talk about the house smelling bad?
Yes. incredibly. Like, not only, and I'm sure even if they hadn't have said anything, you could easily assume that it smelled terrible. Not only was there the decay of rotting wood, on top of that, you have bodies everywhere.
And skin is disgusting, period. I don't even like thinking about the fact that it is our largest organ and the fact that it is always surrounding us, and we're just sacks of meat and bone.
Yeah, pretty much. I actually think it's pretty interesting.
Okay, those are two different stances on that. And to have it just around your house, like, ooh, let me put like a shell of skin on the couch, and ooh, we'll cover up this patch with that eyeball.
So it is reported that the face masks, the leggings, the corset, and I didn't have it listed, but he also had a pair of gloves.
I saw a picture of the gloves. Ew.
Yeah. So it's assumed that these pieces were either already his suit or were going to be put together to become his suit.
Oh. Gross.
Gross. I have like no words. And I try to like talk about it lighthearted because it fascinates me because I don't understand how somebody can do such a thing.
Yeah.
Not only that, but like there is literally no other way. I think if I talked about this in a very like
any type of other serious type of way, I don't think we'd be able to do this.
No. Because it's just so awful.
It's so awful. Let me just lighten up the mood. Was it itchy?
I don't know. I don't have a skin suit laying around my house.
Me neither, Abby.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, do we really know what's under the foundation?
You never really know. Who knows? Your house could be on an Indian burial ground. Anybody's could be. Anyways, we are going to move on to the trial. So the trial started November 21st, 1957. He was put on trial and he pleaded not guilty, even though he openly admitted it
multiple times. Yeah.
Twice. They couldn't use one time in court because the officer that had questioned him got so upset by his confession that he slammed his head against the wall, Ed's head against the wall, and was fired on the spot for assault and died a year later from heart failure.
Aww.
So he couldn't even go on trial against Ed.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. And then the other time was not recorded.
That is a dirty play.
Yeah. Yeah.
How could you play not guilty, though? It's all over your house.
By insanity. Reason of insanity. And it worked. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Major schizophrenia, like extreme. And he was deemed unfit to defend himself in court.
Yeah.
So, instead of being tried at all, he was sent to Central State Hospital for criminally insane.
What?
Yep. He literally got sent to a hospital and they were like, oh, we're done. Plot twist, they weren't done. 1968, doctors.
Beautiful transition.
Oh, yeah. Doctors state that Ed was mentally able to confer with counsel and participate in his defense. That's a quote, by the way. I forgot to say quote, but end quote. And the trial started on November 7th, 1968, and lasted a week.
That's a pretty short trial.
Yeah. There was no jury, at the request of Ed and his lawyers, and the doctors, too.
Yeah, because they would be like, ah!
Pretty much. So Judge Robert H. Gallmar was the judge on this case, and he determined that that Ed was guilty on November 14th.
Mm-hmm.
There was a second trial to deal with his insanity, and after that trial, he was found not guilty by Gallmar.
For insanity?
Yes, due to insanity. And he was sentenced to life in Central State Hospital for the criminally insane.
Really?
Really.
Oh. Did they not have, how did he not get on death row? Is it because he was The suspicion of insanity?
It was literally just for his insanity plea. That was the only reason he got out of anything. And he was only being charged for one murder. I have a quote from the judge. It says, quote, "Due to prohibitive costs, Gein was tried for only one murder, that of Mrs. Warden. He also admitted to killing Mary Hogan."
What? I'm confused. Wait a minute, how does that work?
How does what work?
The fact that he only can get tried for one.
Because
so all
they
those
didn't
other
have...
families didn't...
The reason that you said it was a short trial, the reason it was such a short trial is because they literally did not have money to make it any longer. That is the only reason that, yeah.
So all those families don't get closure. That's so messed up. No, that's wrong.
I'm not saying it's right, but, like, that's what happened.
Oh, no, I'm not yelling at you. I'm just yelling at the situation. That's wrong. Okay. Well, that's a sucky ending to the story, Abby.
It's not, though, because he dies.
Oh, okay.
He died in the Mendota Mental Health Institute at the age of 77 on July 26, 1984, due to lung cancer. So he had a very long...
Painful death.
Okay.
I mean, without his skin suits.
Yeah.
Other than the one he's already wearing.
Your epidermis is showing.
Okay.
So there were several...
that was such a nerdy joke, Abby.
Oh, it's fine.
It's gonna only be something for a niche, very niche group of people that are going to laugh at it, and it's gonna be wonderful.
So there were multiple movies, books, not serial killers, but like movie killers that were inspired by Ed. The movie Psycho, 1959, and the killer in that one is Norman Bates. Alfred Hitchcock, 1960. It's a movie, and it's about Alfred Hitchcock, who is a serial killer in that movie. So some of the other killers, not necessarily movies, but killers, Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as I said earlier, Buffalo Bill from The Silence of the Lambs.
I haven't seen that.
For anybody who knows me, you will know that it is my absolute favorite horror movie, like, ever. It's so good. And
you should be concerned if that one's her favorite.
My favorite show, American Horror Story, specifically the series, or the...
Episode?
No.
Season.
That's what I'm looking for. Thank you, Eleanor. Mm-hmm. The season, Asylum. Dr. Oliver Thredson is in that season. And basically, he tries to make monsters out of people from the asylum. So you can see the resemblance between him and Gein.
I'm so interested in that. I will need to ask you further on this series in a minute.
All right, so that is all of the information. It's a lot, but what are your thoughts, beliefs, ideas?
Yeah.
I would like to hear your comments on it, if you have any, other than just that.
that is my comment. No comment.
No further comment?
No further comment. I feel like the evidence speaks for itself.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't feel like there is anything I could say.
I think he got off easy.
Oh, yeah. He got off so easy, and it's so stupid that he got to plead insane, but it's a fine line that we have to walk.
Yeah.
Because to what extent then we have to deal with people who have multi-personality disorder and that type of stuff where they have quote-unquote evil alters, but anyone with it knows that they have to...
control that.
They have to control that, and they are responsible for whatever happens.
I think he got off, like I said, he got off easy, but also in the justice system, he didn't. He got the right sentence, and that's the frustrating part about it.
I could see why they did what they did.
Yeah, same. It's just, it's very frustrating to not get that nice, happy ending of he lived the rest of his life in prison, which technically you could argue that he did.
Yeah.
Because
the only frustrating part about it, though, is because I can understand the whole, him not getting charged on the death row, but what I don't understand is, and I don't know why they didn't just stop and continue the trial later and pick it back up, is why he only got charged for one murder. That's what bothers me out of this entire story. I realize why they did it. That's the only thing that really bothers me about this entire story. Yeah.
They labeled the case as closed, and I think that's part of the reason why it wasn't opened, and people were so shocked. This is what I think. I think people were just so shocked by it, they didn't want to face it again.
Yeah.
Because it was so gruesome. It was so awful.
Yeah, but oh gosh. I just feel bad for the families.
Me too.
Those were daughters, those were, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, sisters.
Not boyfriends, but
I misspoke.
It's okay.
Abby, what if they decided to identify as something else? How dare you assume?
Eleanor, this is the 60s?
They existed back then. They were just very well closeted.
Yes.
I'm really trying to help you.
I know. It's okay. All right, so
did you just give me a loving
I did.
That was so adorably upsetting. Don't. No. Commits a murder.
Once again, they would never know.
They would never know.
On that note, that is all the time we have for today. This one was a lot of fun to research, just because there is so much.
I want to see the pictures.
Okay, I will have to show you the pictures later because, like I said, we do not have time today.
Yeah, we're good.
Thank you for joining us today. All right. Anything else to say, Eleanor?
Nope, no comment.
Bye.
Bye.